So we're going to talk tonight on how a kind of like a round discussion at the leadership level, if you will. A couple of things I just want to make sure that everybody is on track. We have Valerie here, and like I said, tomorrow we're going to be headed to a very important high-level executive type of mindset mastermind, which will be good because we always come back from those pretty charged up. In addition to what just happened last week in Jupiter, Florida. So just to round up the circle, the first thing I wanted to make sure is, do you guys understand that we do life and we do health? That doesn't have to be separate conversations, right? The only time that has to be a separate conversation is Medicare, right? And it's a scope of appointment, and you have to do the separate conversation really for like the actual presentation of summary of benefits and then close out the deal. But you can literally close the door, close your book, right? Or close your laptop, walk to the bathroom, come back and have a conversation on the rest of the house, right? So I want to pull up real quick the graphic because I think that it feels to me, right? It might feel to some of you as well, right? That people kind of like starting to pigeonhole in a certain area, and that's going to happen, However, we are a team, right? And there's a beautiful thing about what we do and how we do it, that we can split sales in areas that you don't feel confident in, or you don't feel comfortable in, or quite frankly you don't care for, right? I'm a perfect example. I don't really care for the IUL very much, and there's some people on the team that love IUL, right? So I'd be happy to split sales with people, right? And I do, right, all the time. And then there's Medicare clients, right? Some of you guys may or may not want to do Medicare, right? And I love Medicare, right? Mark Mullinax loves Medicare, right? He'll be happy to split sales with you guys and whatnot. But understand the house. I wanted to kind of like circle the wagon so you guys really appreciate, or kind of like land the plane. And let's talk about this a second, right? In 2023, we're no longer in the Industrial Revolution. In 2023, we're in the information age. And more importantly, we're in the relationship business, right? So when you meet with a client and you have a conversation, I'm going to show you guys, and I'm sorry I didn't do that from the get-go. Let me show you that. So if you go to your back office, which is app.powerhousefin.com, and everybody on this call should have access to this. And if you don't, then either contact the person who invited you here, right? Contact your upline, or reach out to me personally. I'll figure out who your upline is, and we'll make sure you get the correct access, right? So let me log out of here a second, just so I can show you exactly how the whole step-by-step process works. So you're going to go to APP, not www. www is our forward-facing for the clients. When people are looking us up, they're doing their research on you. Right? That's the www. The APP is our back office, right? And that's where you're going to have all the goodies. You're going to click up here. By the way, there's two buttons up here. The first one is the sign in, which is this one we're showing you tonight, right? And then the other one is the sign up. So some of you guys, I'm going to make you guys hosts so that you can accept people as they're coming in late strike.
I'm letting people in.
All right, cool. I appreciate that. So you have, with the sign up is if you're signing up somebody. Those of you guys who are brand new to the team, maybe you did it some other way, or I'm not sure. But when you go to app.powerhousefin.com, you click on sign up, right? And you're going to put in the email of your mentor. Now, if you guys aren't with Snap, Snap, if anybody was a Snap partner, they have their own hierarchy. So here, you're just going to put snap@powerhousefin.com. snap@powerhousefin.com. Right? If you're with Experior, you're going to click Experior@powerhousefin.com. But everybody else, the majority of you guys are going to be direct to either the company or through one of our leaders, right? So whoever your leader is, whoever the person who invited you, right? And every single one of you guys, by the way, when you invite somebody, they're going to use your email address, right? they're going to use your email address. And then once they set their mentor, they're going to make sure that they have your information here on the side. And then they're going to fill out the thing, click on this, and then start your future, right? That's how you're going to get people in the business. And that's how we know whether they're life licensed or not, because the next steps are going to ask them if they're life licensed, health licensed, so on and so forth. Make sure that they go through that. Now, once you're in the system, the first time that you log in, there's going to be like a timeline bar that's going to take you through uploading your licenses, requesting licenses, all of that. Just upload your E&O and make sure you do that. That way that the corporate team, and we do have 3 distinct licensing contracting teams, they'll help you with that, right? They'll help you get contracted on Medicare. They'll help you get contracted on ACA. They'll help you get contracted for life and annuities and IULs and stuff like that, right? So they'll help you with that. But once you're logged in, if I may bring your attention to tools, resources, agent in-home kit. This is the full-blown presentation. I know that Valerie and Amber and the team of Amber's team is working on presentations and stuff all the time, but this is what we're going to see here. And I want to point your attention to the powerhouse presentation. Because this powerhouse presentation, the presentation that we have in the back office currently, if you use that at the kitchen table and you just sit down for a little while with the client, first have a conversation and ask them about them, right? That before you even get into the presentation, ask them about them. There's 2 things that are going to happen. And we're not training on DISC tonight, right? We're not training on personality profiling. We will on another night. Or maybe we could touch on it in a second, but you're going to see, you're going to kind of get a feel from them when you let them talk first. Guys, I'm going to tell you, this is so powerful in the fact that you need to understand that it's not about you. The presentation is about the individual. When they start talking, they're going to give you their personality profile, right? And we're going to learn that in the future. If you want to write this down, DISC, you have the directors, right? Who are like the, give it to me straight, give me the facts, give me the things, let's get it moving, right? Usually those are going to be like your CEO types, and you're going to see that they have usually nice things, nice cars, or they're very clean and organized and stuff like that, right? You'll have the influencers, which are going to be the people who are going to be your, some of you guys call them blues, right? Your D's are reds, your I's are your influencers. And those are people about party, they're about having fun and stuff like that. S will be your socials, the people who care, big heart, those are your yellows. They really want to, hear the story, and they want to make sure that they're making a difference and stuff like that. And then your greens or your analyticals, right? Your C, which in our case is critical thinking, right? Critical thinking are your greens. Those are going to be your numbers people. So depending on who you're talking to, this presentation was designed to talk to all 4 personality styles. But they're going to tell you their personality styles by the way that they start talking, right? So, hey, Mark, how are you? How are you and Cindy? Tell me about yourself. I love starting like, hey, tell me a little bit about you, right? And those of you guys who have done 3 ways with me before, you'll see that I do that. Tell me a little bit about you, right? And then they start talking. And as soon as they start talking, within about 30 seconds, you're going to pick up whether they're a D, whether they're an I, whether they're an S, or they're a C, right? And then you're going to cater your presentation to them. You follow? The C's, the critical thinkings, those are going to want to know numbers. They're going to want to know facts. They want to know a lot of, a lot of data, right? So you pitch them on that, right? And so on and so forth. Again, I'm going to go in a more detailed presentation in the next couple of weeks on that, but just to get that. But I wanted to make sure that we go to here. Once you're in this and you start the presentation, you go step by step on, tell them your story. Tell them the story of the company, right? What is the story of the company? Some of you guys are brand new. Maybe you don't know yet, right? But the founders of this company come from, Primerica. We were vice presidents, and we got pissed off at the fact that Ricky McMurray passed away penniless, and then we gave him money to his widow, but that was like the last straw, right? So when we talk about term with living benefits, you should know that story, right? And that's this, you know, so I'm circling the wagons tonight so you guys understand, all right? We're the fastest RVPs in that company. And the reason why we did that is because we had network marketing background, right? And we understand how to build big teams. And that's what we do here. We help you. If you want to be a producer and not build a team, we help you. But if you want to be a team builder and you want to build an agency and become an SGA and MGA and go all the way to become a partner, this is the only track in town, guys. And be confident with that. When you walk out there, you got to let people know, guys, you know, this is the only company that you can become a full-blown partner and at the FMO, IMO level, starting from street. That's not a natural thing in this industry, right? So once you go through this, right, and you go through the presentation, you want to focus. I focus on these two slides, which is the law of decreasing responsibility. That's a natural law in life, guys. It's a natural law in life. When you're young, you're going to have high responsibility. That's the red line, and low money. They're in majority of the cases, right? Unless you were born into money or something like that. Mr. Torres, are you raising your hand or? Okay. You're going to have a high responsibility, low money, right? This is when, you know, your kids are getting little, you got a mortgage payment, you got car payments, so on and so forth. Make a big deal about the P, and depending on who you're talking to, if you're talking to an I or an S, right, make a really big deal, right? Like get dramatic about it. D's and C's, they don't care about the drama, right? But if you're talking to a blue or a yellow, right, or you know, which is our influencers and our socials, right, make a big deal about the P, because the P is put a plan in place. You put a plan in place so that the lines crisscross. And eventually you have more money than responsibilities. But without a plan, that's when people end up in Walmart and so on and so forth, right? So that we answer the two biggest challenges, which is die too soon or live too long. I'm not even going to ask how many of you guys are using this presentation, right? Because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I'm telling you guys, start using the presentation. You can pull it on your laptop. You can pull it right off the back office, and this will help you have a conversation with people of what we do. And I know that because we're seeing a lot of people do a lot of life, right? And no health. Or they'll do like a lot of IULs, but no terms. Folks, let me share with you this, the next slide, which this is the part that I really want to bring home tonight, if you will, the conversation. This is what we do. We build a financial house. See, I'm getting dramatic for my blues and my yellows, right? This is what we do, folks. We build a financial house. Mr. Bartolo, are you guys there? Bartolo, you're with the team in Dallas right now? Or in Houston?
Not right now. I was there Saturday and I'm going to be Wednesday and Saturday.
All right, good. Please bring this message to the team in Houston and bring this message. There you go. There you go. Bring this message to the team in Dallas, okay? Because I know you guys love IULs, and that's great. But I want to share with the team, and I'm not calling them out. I'm just pointing out, yeah, to please leaders on this call tonight. I need you to take this message to your team, to the field, okay? I can't do it on myself. I mean, by myself. I honestly, there's just way too many people in the organization, and it's just I don't have enough hours in the day. But here's what we do. When you build a financial house, what's the first thing you lay?
Foundation.
The foundation, okay? The foundation. And the foundation is, was, and always will be term with living benefits. I don't care if you're sitting with a Medicare client, if you're sitting with a young family that's doing ACA, if you're doing an IUL, if you're preparing $1 million IUL, I don't care. Everybody needs to, deserves to, and must have a term life insurance policy because it gives you the most amount of face value for the least amount of dollars every month. And there is no law that says you can't combine them. As a matter of fact, I want you to combine them. All right. Because you can start, let's say their budget is $500 a month, right? You could put a good portion of that into a term and then a big portion of that into an IUL. But I don't care how good we are, folks. I'm telling you right now, this happened to me, and I want to share with you guys at a personal level, right? I don't care how good we are creating a financial plan. That IUL can illustrate, man, as beautiful as the sun rises and the sun sets, right? But if they die next week, and by the way, this is where we're going to crush, and in a good way, Primerica and WFG and all these other people that have buy term and invested difference. Because one, they can't, the majority of them, 95% can't sell term and invest the difference because they don't have the license to sell the difference. And in those companies, you're going to find that the client was either sold an investment or a term, right? So I'm talking to you guys who are selling a lot of IULs now and not piggybacking with a term. I'm talking to you tonight. I'm talking to the guys who are going to be coming from WFG and from Primerica and from these companies that have the buy term investment mentality, and they're going to put money in the investment side and not term. I'm talking to them. Because if I write you a great plan, a 401k that you're putting $250 a month, and I forget to write the term, and you die next week, your family gets $250 minus fees. You follow what I'm saying? Am I bringing home that point? But if you write a Medicare plan and you write them a final expense, or you write an ACA plan and you write them a term, right? And you do that combination. We just went to a funeral last week or the week before? I'm just like, everything just blending, right? But we were just at a funeral. My best friend and his mom. And we talked to her. We talked to her till we turned blue. Right? She ended up not buying a policy from us. God rest her soul. But she ended up buying a policy last November from somebody else. Guess what? If she would have bought a policy from us 3-4 years ago when he got into business, that family would have had $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. They would have been able to bury her nicely, relax, no problem. She ended up buying a policy from somebody else that was graded. So they're getting back whatever she put in from November to now. I didn't do my job. I didn't do my job. You understand what I'm saying? And she had, we did her mortgage. We gave her a great rate. Valerie got her 3.5% on her mortgage. We set her up on a bunch of other stuff, but we did not do the term life insurance policy the way we should have. We weren't aggressive about it. And folks, this is a crusade. What we do is not a joke here. What we do is serious, because the moment that you need it, you can't buy it at that moment. You follow what I'm saying? Without being too graphic. Too graphical, graphic-y, right? The moment that you need it, it's too late. We can't sell them a policy a second after they pass. You can't. They're done. And what's worse is that 3 years ago, in her case, she wasn't as sick. She wasn't as messed up, right, as she was back in November when she actually ended up buying the policy. So term life insurance, folks, always was, is, and always will be an important conversation at the kitchen table. I don't care what else you're selling on this house. Am I making myself clear tonight? It is the foundational product. Okay? We need to start having this conversation, saying, yes, look, we're going to create this IUL for you. It's going to be phenomenal, and we're going to make you millions of dollars over the next 30, 40, 50 years. But if you die next week, what are the family's necessities? And how do you calculate the family's necessities? And by the way, Amber and Valerie, if you guys can maybe work with the team and have a graphic on this, it's called a dime. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this before. This is the calculations called dime, DIME. How much debt needs to be paid off if you die next week? Right? How much debt needs to get paid off if you die next week? Income. We need to replace your income. And the replacement of the income is, what is your annual salary, right? And we're talking about people who are 20 years old to 45, 50 years old, right? If you're past 50, then we're looking at a different expense idea. Who's responsible? Who are you responsible for? And make sure that we take care of them, right? So you're not necessarily writing a big term policy for somebody who's 65 years old, right? You may want to write a $30,000 policy with Prosperity or with Move, right? And Valerie will teach next week. Valerie will teach next week on Move. Right?
I was able to find some stuff and load some stuff. So if you want, we can briefly go over it if we have time.
Right, cool. No, but this is a good conversation to have. We're circling the wagons.
It is.
It's a very important conversation to have. So when you do the dime analysis, you calculate the debt, right? Whatever that may be, a couple credit cards, this and that, and the other, whatever is going to attach to the estate. You're going to calculate the income. So if you make $30,000 a year, your minimum is 30,000 times 10. It should be from 10 to 25 years. So if they want to leave their family very well off, 25 years. But at the very minimum, 10 years. So what's 30,000 times 10?
300,000.
That's a $300,000 policy. If you're not writing $300,000 policies minimum term, you're not doing your job. We are not doing our job. I take personal responsibility on this, right? Now, again, final expense, so after they're 55, 60 years old, you just need to have enough money to cover the problem. Because now, my best friend is going to have a situation to bury his mom. They're going to cremate her now and just, so on and so forth. But you know how much a cremation costs? In Miami, it's $8,000. I'm like, dude, come over to my house. We'll go to Lowe's, pick up some King charcoal, and we'll take care of that shit next weekend. But can't do that. Apparently, it's against the law. On a serious note, it's $5,000 to $8,000 to $12,000 just a cremation. Just a cremation, right? There was a viewing. We had to sit in a room for 7, 8 hours, right? They charge by the hour. A lot of money, right? Again, guys, I'm trying to make light of it because it was a tough situation. But at the end of the day, it's a real situation. And it just happened to us, right? And that's when it becomes real, right? Just happened to us. The living benefits part. Ricky calls me in August. Now, this is not just a client. Ricky wasn't just a client. It wasn't somebody I got off of an ad. Ricky was my buddy. Like we ran in New York together. We built business together. We had fun. We did a bunch of stuff. I knew his wife, right? Ricky passes away because he calls me in August, says, Mondo, I got a stage 4 cancer. Right? I said, man, I was with Primerica at the time, and I don't mind saying I was with Primerica because that's where it was, right? And he says, I remember at the presentation, you talked something about a terminal illness rider or something like that. I need some money, man. I'm in pain. I don't want to go to work, right? He was in pain. I said, let me put the paperwork together. We put the paperwork together, send it to Primerica, and they come back 2 weeks later saying, denied. The doctor says he has more than 12 months to live. Ricky worked till his last day. I said, Ricky, I got good news and bad news. I'm sorry, I moved to the end of the conversation there. But I said, Ricky, I got good news and bad news. Bad news is that we can't get you no money right now. The good news is that you did the right thing. And when, because at this moment it's not if, when you go, I'm taking Lee a $500,000 check. those of you guys who've been to some of our live events, and Valerie plays the recording of Lee calling us, man, that's awful as can be, right? It don't get no more serious than that. So, circling the wagons tonight, guys. You know, we have some great products, because when we left Primerica, we went to build this company, right? And under the mentorship that we've been blessed with, we've had just some amazing mentors with, you know, Philip Hudgens and Jamie and a few other that are just really like people who have just been God sent, right? You know, they connected us. Where we looked at, and Valerie and I did our due diligence on every product that we put in the company, right? And some of you guys were part of that, you know, due diligence as well. But every product that we put in the company is with living benefits at 95 or 100%, right? All of our term products, 95 or 100% living benefits. That means if you can't perform 2 out of the 6 you know, things of daily living. I'm getting all tongue-tied tonight because I hate getting emotional. But it's serious. If you can't perform 2 out of the 6 activities of your daily living, like toiletrying and getting dressed yourself and stuff like that, you can access some of this money in life. Agustin, you hearing me, buddy? See Agustin Carranza there.
Yes, I'm here.
You're killing it with IULs, bro. You're killing it. Love it. I love to see that, man. You're just doing a phenomenal job.
Thank
You're
you.
doing a phenomenal job. But let's add this conversation in your presentation, okay? And let's make sure that a portion goes into some term life insurance with living benefits.
All right,
Right.
thank you. All right.
That's your foundational product, right? Now, once your foundational product, then you put the roof on, because up here, if we see, we got to resolve, and I don't care if you're on the health side, right? And I know some of you guys are, man, I'm a Medicare guy. What are you talking to me about, you know, life insurance? We are a holistic company, guys. We do the right job for the family. When you walk out of there, you got to make sure that the family is taken care of. The 2 biggest things you got to resolve at the kitchen table when you meet with your clients is die too soon, term life insurance, or live too long, IUL, right? Those are the 2 biggest things you got to resolve. Now, we're there to resolve their Medicare, or we're there to resolve their life, you know, their ACA or whatever else we're there to do. That's great. But what we're there to do is to make sure that that family has a game plan, that P, and that's all about you. That's you doing your job. You making sure that they have a game plan. Okay? So then we talk about IULs. You got to talk about IULs. You got to set them up for a tax-free retirement. And Bartolo and Adelisa and that team, there's nobody better in America, right? They'll be training on that here for us. We'll tap on their shoulders to come and train. Adelisa is amazing, right? And her team is amazing at what they're doing over there. And you set them up. Folks, you know, we started playing around with the ERC and we partner with Snap. They do ERC, and that's a lot of businesses. You know, a lot of business owners in America, and we're not talking about like, you know, the Coca-Cola. We're talking about like small businesses with a few agents. So I mean, a few people in their employees in their business, right? They can drastically reduce their tax burden by putting in place an IUL called an executive bonus, and then paying the taxes of those of that bonus with a second bonus called a double bonus to pay the taxes to reduce. We were on the phone today with Bartolo with a young lady in Texas, right? And she says she's a CPA and she works for a firm. She got her client from $5 million down to 148,000, which is phenomenal. And then Bartolo comes in and says, let's reduce from 48 down a lot. So they're going to work together. I'm excited to hear the end result of that, right? Where they bring that tax burden from 148,000, right, to like 20,000. That's what we'll end up doing, something 20, 25,000 or something like that. and it'll be phenomenal. And guess what, guys? You may think here, oh man, that's cheating the system. That's not cheating the system. That's the tax laws were written by the rich people. The tax laws 7702, look that up, tax law 77. Everybody knows 401k, right? But look for 7702. The tax laws were created by the rich to protect the rich. And the majority of the people in the middle class never heard about this, but now it's our job to get out there and teach them about this, right? And so we train on NLG. That's our main IUL carrier, National Life Group. If you're not yet contracted with National Life Group, make sure you get contracted with National Life Group, right? We train on that. But tonight I wanted just to you to understand the why behind it, right? Because we always talk about the carriers and we go into the products and we go into how to calculate this and the quoting and all that stuff, and which is important, right? You got to know the how to, right? But tonight I wanted to spend a little bit of time on the why. Because if you don't have a conversation with them and they don't listen and they don't put this in effect, they're 70 years old people working at Walmart. They're not bad people. You're just not supposed to be working at Walmart when you're 78 years old. You follow me? So you put a game plan together. And Bartolo's phenomenal. I started people at $50, $100 a month, right? And then put them in a game plan to go to 150, 200, 500, right? $1,000. And then as he's talking to them, then people automatically, Bartolo, if you're around, if you want to share that, he has a kid he wrote a policy for a couple of months ago, right? And I think it was for like $150, $200. And all of a sudden, the kid calls him up, hey, can I put more? And the kid's like depositing $1,000 a month into his IUL. And I say he's a kid because he's in his 20s, right? He just figured out that if he starts doing that instead of going partying, right? And he's going to blow that $1,000 no matter what, right? Because I promise you, in Texas, I can blow $1,000 a week eating tacos, right? Like quickly, right? But he started putting that money into his IUL and max funding his IUL. And it's phenomenal what's going to happen. That kid's generational fork has changed. Like his life, his kid's life, his grandkid's life has changed because he had a conversation with Bartolo. What we do, guys, here is not a joke. You know, we're not here to like have marginal conversations in life. You need to sit down with your clients. You need to go through this presentation with them and let them know, hey, I do much more than just ACA. I do much more than just Medicare, right? When I got in the Medicare game, right, Valerie and I, and we always work as a team, right? So I talk to the client, I get them all like, you know, excited about life and this and that and the other, and then I pass them on to Valerie to do all the green stuff, and she does the yellow-green combination of actually closing the deal, right? So we work in that capacity. But I can tell you that every Medicare client that I have, we've put a policy on them, right? Because the next part here is health. Now, once you have the floor and you have the roof, then you start putting the goodies in. And the big goodie that we're working with, because we're excited about it, is health insurance. I know some of you guys are super excited about health insurance, right? You guys are going out there every day talking, buying leads for Medicare, going out there for ACA and building your book of business, and you're getting good and you're building that business, and that book of business is growing and your residuals growing, and some of y'all are gonna be, man, like just living it good in this at the end of this season, because you're just in momentum, which that's another thing we'll talk about here tonight. But you're in momentum, right? But take an extra 5 minutes and have a conversation. Hey, do you got something in place? Look, watch this. Write this down. This is a simple script. If you have something in place that takes care of your final wishes and takes care of funding, you know, everything in case something happens to you next month. You talk to a Medicare client like that, majority of them are going to tell you no. ACA clients, hey, do you have something in place that in case you don't come back home next week, that your family is taken care of, that your kids are going to college, right? I tell everybody, I love my country, guys. but I enlisted in the Marine Corps 100% to pay for college. That's why I did it. That was the real reason, right? Because my dad died when I was 12 years old, and I needed to figure out how. I knew I had to go to college. My mom told me I had to go to college. I didn't know how I was going to fund it. So that's why I enlisted, right? Later on, got the green to gold, went to the Army. The rest is history. But at the end of the day, there's better ways of funding college than having bullets flying at you. You follow what I'm saying? And it's just a matter of having a conversation. But every one of my Medicare clients, we have a conversation and we get them a $30,000 policy. Mutual of Omaha, which is what Valerie's going to train on, next week we're going to have her train, because tonight we're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes, because I know I'm hitting you guys a little hard. I don't want nobody crying on me. Hey, Gunny, you still there? I'm gonna have Gunny start doing trainings out here.
Still on station.
Right? Gunny starts training.
Marine Corps.
Y'all think I'm tough, man. Once Gunny starts training, man, it's gonna be a wrap out here, boy. Yeah, I don't even know about that. But health insurance is what we do. A lot of you guys are excited about it, and I get it. But I want you to start having this conversation with your clients, right? If you're with a young family, let me give you guys a story, a graphic. You might want to get pen and paper for this one, right? And I've used this, and I use this a lot. I say, write this down. I tell to the client to write it down, right? I say, write, draw me a house. Draw me a house. And then draw me a car. And they draw their car, right? Some of them are good. Some of them are not so good, right? And then draw me a tree. I said, if you had to insure these in a specific order, how would you insure this? This is part of the presentation, guys. This is part of my conversation. This is part of my in the house, on the kitchen table, right? I'm having this conversation with the client. Draw me a house, draw me a car, and draw me a tree. And if you had to insure these in a specific order, in which order would you insure them? Anybody want to jump out and tell me which order? Those of you guys who haven't heard me say this before. Lourdes?
House.
Lloyd? Come on, Rev. Rev, bring it home.
House. Insure the house first.
Insure the house first, right? And everybody says insure the house first, and then the car, right?
And then the tree.
And then the tree, right? And 99% of the times, that's the order. The house, the car, and the tree. I'm like, okay, great. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Rodriguez, McLeod, whatever. Let me ask you something. If that tree every Friday started dropping $100 bills, and that's what you use to pay for the house, to pay for the car, and support your lifestyle, now in which order do you insure it? Rev, guess what order they're going to insure it?
Tree first.
The tree first, right?
Yeah.
And then I lean in very dramatically and I said, you're the tree.
Oh, that's good.
Right? You're the tree. Every one of us is the tree. If you're the provider, and folks, this is not 1950 anymore where just the man was the provider, right? Today, it's a double income situation in 99% of the homes that you walk into, right? So we got to make sure that we take care of that term insurance with a high face value, 10 times her income and 10 times his income minimum. And if they want to do it right, it should be 25 times income, right? You can't do more than 25, 30 times income because then you have to prove why you need so much money, right? Somebody making $30,000 a year, you can't insure them for $10 million, right? Because the insurance company want to know why. But if you do 10 to 25 their income, you're golden. You're golden. And then we do legal insurance through Legal Shield. because we need to do the full job, folks. Mr. Young is on the line here. He does Medicare. He's one of my Medicare guys. He loves Medicare, right? And
Yes, sir.
running around doing a lot of business, right? Helping a lot of folks out and doing a great job. He's at every training, so he knows the products in and out. Well, Mr. Young, how many times are we talking to him about putting a will together? Talking to 65, 67, 70-year-old people. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Are we close? Are we doing the full job for them? Right?
Need to.
We need to. And it's not about the money at that point, because you're making an extra $200-300 when you do a legal shield deal. You're not making a lot of money on that, but you got to do the job right. Right? Because guess what? There's a lot of interests when people pass, and if you don't write your will, state of Florida or the state of whatever, Texas, whatever, has a will for you. But in order to execute that will, you got to go through the whole long drawn out process called probate and all that. And you may or may not want to do that, right? But if you have the legal shield plan in place, and Shannon, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about bringing in a trust plan in place, right? There's no probate. Do not pass go. Do not go to jail. It's just we know exactly what needs to happen with the house, with the car, with the investment accounts, with blah 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 blah. Right? But that's part of doing the full job for the folks, right? We got to take a second, right? We get so excited, man. I got that ACA sale. I just increased my income by $150 a month, right? Which is exciting. But you missed the point that, number one, it's your moral obligation to finish the job. And watch this. There's a financial incentive for you too. Right? Because you get paid on everything else in the house. If you open your mouth, if you use the presentation, and if you have that conversation, right? Like a new to Medicare will pay us $600 or something, right? A renewal to Medicare will pay you $300. But if you do a Medicare, and let's say it's a renewal, you make $300, and you put a legal shield so they could have a will in place, right? And that's another $200. You just did $500, right? And let's say you put a Mutual of Omaha or a Prosperity final expense deal, and you just added another $800,000. So instead of walking out with $300 in income, you can possibly walk out with $1,500 in income.
Wow. Good.
Right? And it's not about your income necessarily. You're leading with your heart. You're leading with making sure that the family is taken care of and is done right. You follow me? Some of you guys will be in circles where you're working with B2B, and especially, those of you guys who have connections with people who are going out for ERC business. If you're going out for ERC business, you better, I didn't mean that. You should really understand IUL's executive bonuses and double bonuses and all that stuff to take care of your executives and your key people. You really should understand that part of the game. And if you have a team of people who are running around getting ERCs, teach them to peek and pass, pitch it into your boat. Say, hey, listen, you go take care of this side of the house, get licensed so I can give you a referral fee on this side of the house. Right? And then, you go in there. There's so much money to be made, but more importantly, folks, I have a lot of love for Bartolo, because every time I hear him, I remember being young in the industry, in the network marketing business, and seeing him, and he was a great leader then, still a great leader today. But I hear him talk, and you hear the message. You're going to have a lot of Hispanics, right? And I'm going to talk about my community for a second. A lot of Hispanics that come to this country, right? And they're not riffraff. They're not just going to come pick potatoes. Like, they come and they start their little business. They start their little car wash business, their landscaping business, their realtors, and they start little businesses. And then they start adding people to their teams, right? They came to live the American dream, but because they don't know the rules of the game, they end up paying 50% of their money into taxes, right? They end up blowing money on stupid stuff because they don't understand the game. They don't understand the rules of the game. But if you and the B2B solutions are able to go into the community, and that happens in the Black community, and happens in the Asian community, happens in the white community, happens in all the communities, right? Where people start their businesses, they don't know the rules of the game. Middle class America is screwed because nobody pulls you aside in school, which they should, right? They're teaching all the other crap they're teaching now. They should pull you to the side and say, hey, listen, let's talk about how to balance a checkbook. Let's talk about how to set yourself up for tax-free retirement. Let's talk about, right? It's not happening. So it's our job, it's our commission to go out there and do what we do. But it's my job to make sure we circle the boats every once in a while and remind everybody that you're not here just to sell Medicare. You're not here just to sell IULs. You're not here just to, right? And I'm not saying not to master a portion of this. Master it. If you need to bring in a team, Amber, Valerie, Shannon, Mark, right? There's a lot of people that will be happy to help you with the other portions of this house. But we created this house so that you guys can go and take care of Main Street middle class America who have nobody else talking to them. They don't talk about this in middle class America at Thanksgiving, right? It's not talked about, right? Bishop's on, right? And I know Bishop's going to start talking about this. I mean, Bishop had a great conversation a couple weeks ago, right? And I told him I was born and raised Catholic, right? It was a poverty mindset and kind of idea because it was kind of like always like, oh, you know, the more you sacrifice, the poorer you are, the easier it is for you to get into heaven. I mean, that's the way I was taught, right? And then a couple of years ago, somebody, you know, when I came to Christ, and you know, they taught me, they're like, man, there's you know, we believe in a God of abundance. I'm like, a God of abundance? What? He's like, yeah, he created like the whole universe. Like, holy smokes, he did. Like, God didn't think small. God doesn't think small, right? So we shouldn't think small. We got to stop thinking small. We got to understand that there's a bigger commission for us. Like we're commissioned on this crusade to go out and help Main Street America. That's what we do, right? And then some of you guys will come up with wealth management, you know, clients and or help people that throughout the next couple of years, you know, get into that category, right? And when we created this house to give every one of you guys who was on this call tonight the opportunity to really go out there and take full advantage of your crusade. Get out there, understand each one of these products, right? And we're training on Wednesday, we train on Mondays. We're going to change it up a little bit, our training schedule. But the best way to get trained, listen to me. You want to know the best way to get trained? Anybody want to know the best way to get trained?
To do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Get on a kitchen table. Just share this presentation. If you don't know how to write an IUL, trust me, there's enough people on the team that will help you write an IUL. If you don't know how to write a term life policy, there's enough people that will help you write a term life policy. Get licensed because, you know, it's important you want to get paid. That's cool, right? I don't look good in orange. I try to avoid that situation. But the best way is get licensed and just do it. Just get on somebody's kitchen table and have a conversation. And you're going to mess it up. And it's okay because somebody here is going to be able to clean it up for you, right? Somebody will be able to clean it up for you. Let me show you one other document that's very important. Again, if you go to your readiness package, right? Let me go back here a second. Just so everybody knows, you go to app.powerhousefin.com, right? You should be signed up already. You should be rocking and rolling with it, right? You go to business tools. You go to resources, agent, in-home kit. We couldn't have named it. I'm not that smart, guys. Valerie named this. We couldn't have named it more like, what do you need? An agent in-home kit, right? And then you go here and where it says underwriting worksheet. Listen to me. Watch this, how simple it is. Once you've done that presentation, once you have the conversation, you fill this form out. It's called the agent underwriting sheet. I would think you should have about 20 of these in your bag at all time, right? If you're in the kitchen, in the field, you should have about 20 of these all the time on you, right? There you go. Shannon has them right there, right? And then here, you're going to fill this form out. and everybody here should have an upline RVP, regional vice president, and some of you guys are under our agency owners or something like that. So you can have an upline. And if your upline is not willing or they're too dumb or whatever, just kidding, I didn't say that, right? But if if you don't feel confident working with somebody, there's people on the organization that will be happy to work with you, right?
You're my upline, aren't you, Armando?
I'm telling you, I'm too dumb. So just make sure you're a perfect example, right? You're gonna work with Valerie, right? Yeah, that's exactly my point, right? So you're gonna fill this out: name, husband and wife, date of birth, and their age. Now, why the two different things? Because some companies will quote on actual age, and some companies will quote on age nearest, right? And again, you don't even need to know that yet, what that means. So fill out both, right? Tobacco. Do you use tobacco or not? Yes or no? Height and weight. Driving record. How's your driving record? Do you have a lot of DUIs or accidents or a lot of speeding tickets, right? Folks, tell the client, we're going to run a check on you. And it's going to happen in about 30 millionth of a second, right? Once we put in the information in. So please don't lie to me. If you have a lot of DUIs, let me know, right? Current life insurance coverage. What do you currently have? Oh, I have current life insurance through my job, right? Well, right there, through the job, right? Don't get combative at the moment. Some of you guys get combative because you hear me training, and sometimes I'm combative, like, oh, job insurance is rented insurance. You should have your own insurance. Just at this point of the game, just write it down. What do you got, right? Have you ever been declined for insurance? Really? Why? Write it down, right? We had one young guy, man. I remember a couple years ago, young kid, cut up, super sharp, right? And he gets denied because he was taking a medication that it was to hide or prevent HIV or something like that, and the insurance company didn't like it, right? So you got denied. Does your current life insurance have living benefits? And that's a yes or no, but that's when you're like, you see what I'm talking about? Pull out your life insurance policy. If they have it, I tell them pull it out, right? It's crazy. It's crazy, guys. How many times I've walked into a house and I say, oh, you got life insurance? Great, pull it out. And they pull it out and they open the envelope for the first time in their life in front of me. They've never even read their policy. Some of you guys have been in the field. You ever had that happen, right? Where like, they're like opening it up brand new, like probably should have read that at some point. Do you have a will, right? And again, these are questions that you're asking to kind of like get them in the right mindset of what they need. Medications or surgeries, like what medications? What medications? Watch this. The next column, for what condition and when were you diagnosed? Again, the underwriting team, and every one of you guys are a field underwriter, right? But the underwriting team will teach you that there's some medication that have multiple purposes, right? There's some conditions that some medications handle, right? And then there's things that, diabetic. Oh, you're diabetic. Great. You drink metformin. Great. For what condition? Diabetes. Great. When were you diagnosed? Last year. Okay. Well, you're 32 years old. So you were diagnosed at 31. Then you're going to start learning that you got to figure out where to go, because not all carriers will take a 32-year-old diabetic, right? A lot of them want, 50 years old. You're supposed to get diabetes after 50, apparently. Nobody told me that. So write out all your medications, Mr. Young. This is where you take 3 or 4 of these pages, right? Because your medications and your Medicare clients, right? 3 or 4 of these pages, right? I still have a picture of one of my first Medicare clients that I wrote. When I asked her for medication, she brought like boxes of medication, so I had to like take pictures of all of the boxes. She's since passed, but I still have those. It's like 20 or 30 medication. So medications, surgeries, why they're taking that medication, and when were they diagnosed. Okay. And then Jacqueline, monthly income sources. And I say Jacqueline because she's in Miami. And Miami, there's multiple income sources. Jackie, am I wrong?
No, you're not.
So
Agree.
how much money do you make and from where? So if you work at La Bodega part-time, if you have rental properties, if you do Airbnb, if you're cleaning houses, if you're washing cars, if this and that and the other, write it all out. Why? Because that's where you're going to get that number so you can calculate the I and the dime. Right? And Amber, what I'd love to see happen is this page be a 2-pager. This be the front page and the back page be the dime. I would love to see that happen. I know Valerie's green just went like, but yeah, if you guys can make that happen, that would make me really happy. But the income sources, and it doesn't have to be declared if your family counts on that money. Let me rephrase that. I don't care if you don't declare your, cleaning houses on the weekends or cutting grass or cleaning pools income if that's part of the income, because what I'm looking at, or you're looking at, is how much income needs to be replaced. Remember the tree? So I don't care what your taxes say. I want to know seriously how much money are you making, right? I love it when I'm in Miami. You're like, oh, I make $1,500 a month. No, the hell you don't. You can't live in Miami if you make $1,500 a month. Like, let's have a serious conversation. How much money you making, right? Sorry, I get excited sometimes. The next part is how much money do you have in savings? And folks, I will tell you that right now in 2023, you walk into houses and you'll be surprised how much money cash people have in their savings, right? Making 0.800%. Right, you want to write down that formula. 0.8. Mark, that was for you, Mr. Mullinex. 0.800%, right? That's what they're getting at the bank, right? And we can show that. But anyways, you write that down, the bottom mortgage payment, balance, da 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 da. And then with this, initially, you're going to take a picture and send it to your upline, right? And they'll send it to their upline until somebody who knows what they're doing will help you out, right? Until you know what you're doing. But even when you know what you're doing, you still want to use this document because it'll help you figure out quickly what product and all that to get into. All right. So you use the presentation, you tell the stories that I told you tonight, the house, the car, the tree. Then you have real conversations with folks. You fill out this form, and then from here you'll figure out what is the product that family needs. Quote it and assume the close. Like I literally, once I quote it out, right? I'm like, it's Mutual of Omaha. This is a $30,000 final expense policy. It's going to cost $80 a month, right? And we've already talked about that. Your family's going to be okay with $30,000, right? So I'm going to need your driver license and your checking account information so we can get this going. Just start writing. Your legal first name, Amber. Last name, boom, 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 and you just start writing. That's the business, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we do. Any questions tonight? Y'all didn't expect a sermon tonight. Hey, Bishop, what do you think about that? They didn't expect a sermon. Bishop will be passing the plate here in a little bit. All right. No questions, no comments or concerns?
Great message. Thank you.
Great message.
They love.
Great training. Thank you.
Mr. Armando,
Yes, sir.
we've been talking about business people, right?
Yes, sir.
Is out there a lot of business people can be helped around. Most of the people, they have business because they have a loan or something like that. And most of the people, the one they have business, they pay a lot of money on taxes. One question I asked them, what do you prefer? Giving the money to the IRS or giving the money to your family?
That's a good question.
Through the executive bonus, we can help a lot business people out there. And that's with Agustin. Last 2 weeks, we was on one town on Texas, he started a business. He been paid already his house. He get a loan for start his business. He own some trucks, and we asked him how much you own. You know how much is your how much is your debt for this? 200,000. Okay, let's see if something happened to you. What is going to happen with your wife? She can run the business? He say no. I mean, if she don't pay the house because you get a loan, you know, against to the house, what is going to happen with the house? What is going to happen with the trucks you have right there for pick it up trash, you know? Man, pick it up. And we asked them, you know, okay, let's see, for example, if we can put let's see, a small IUL and a good term, you know, let's see, 500,000. Something happened to you, 200,000 is for pay the debts, and your wife still have $300,000. We say, let's do it right now.
Boom. Boom. Boom.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people like that out there. That's what I want to say. Thank you, Mr. Armando, for all the help, for all the support, and for all the things you've been putting together.
Really appreciate you guys, brother. And you guys keep killing it out there in Texas, man. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. Mrs. Torres, you want to close it out here? We got a couple words. Anything you want to say?
Wow, that was awesome. Every time that you go into the house, I just remember that everything that we do is really important to people. This is about our life and our spouse's life and our kids' lives, and who puts the value in our life, right? And we're the ones that have the most say in what that value is. The only thing I want to close out with that I always tell like new agents, because I know it's overwhelming, it's a lot of information. Number one is that you know more than your clients do. First appointment, even you know more. You're licensed. Once you're licensed, you know more than they do, and they're looking for help, and most people don't even know where to begin. So, and also we're there to support you. So if you have any questions, we'll walk you through, hand in hand if you need it, hand holding if you need it. Number two is that companies want to insure people. These companies that we work with, they're billion-dollar companies, but they only have billions of dollars in their accounts if they're insuring a lot of people, and they need a lot of different types of people to have a good range for their own value, for their own company's value. So they have to have young people, old people. They have to have some people that are not so healthy. You know what I mean? So they want us to go out and get these clients for them. So that's what they're looking for, and we're that facilitator. And then the number three is that what we do is not only important for people, but it's a really good value. If you think about how much money people pay into an insurance, whether it's a term or an IUL or even the whole life, which is the most expensive, if you will, how much you pay per month versus what you receive in return. We have auto insurance, and everyone in this call probably has auto insurance, and you pay a lot more than some of these policies cost for a lot less coverage, and they're renewable every year, and they go with whatever your car is worth, right? And they don't cover a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of exclusions. And what about our home insurance? We're having tremendous issue now because we have damage in our roof from a hurricane, and we can't even get another insurance until we fix our roof. And the only one that will insure us is our own mortgage company, because obviously they have a vested interest in that, right? And so we are what we do, the amount of value that we bring to the table for people paying $80 a month, $40 a month for a couple $100,000. Think about that. Think about how much they're putting in versus if they die tomorrow, how much they get out. Like Bartolo just said, if you pass tomorrow, what happens to that $200,000 in debt that you have for your business? Your wife can't what is she going to do? So he's paying maybe a couple $100, and he's going to get $500,000 if something happens to him. That's a huge burden off her shoulders. So I'll just close out with that. Thank you all. I'm sorry we were supposed to train on mutual. I will train on mutual next week. We had some technical difficulties, but I think this was much more powerful.
God knows what he's doing, and he's always putting guidance in the right direction. Guys, I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited for the future widows and orphans that you guys are going to go and be heroes of. Go take care of business. Love you guys. Have a good night.
Hey, did you want me to show the flyer?
Oh, man. I
That's
almost
right.
forgot
Poor
about
thing.
that. So
She was ready.
She was ready. She was ready, guys. Let me
Thank
let
you,
me finish
Amber.
up with the announcement, and that's why I keep a great team with me, right? Amber, if you want to share that, folks, our next major event here is going to happen in Houston, Texas. If you're not in Texas, guys, build a team in Texas, right? Get with Amber, and she can help you get things going on marketing. But our next event is going to be in Houston, Texas, on the 17th of August. That'll be a Thursday. We're having an opportunity meeting at 7 p.m. at the office. Okay, we do have an office there. We fit about 40, 50 people comfortably. We could probably fit 100, Latin style, which will be cool, right? We'll figure it out. We'll bring tacos. It'll be fun. Friday, we're going to have a producers boot camp. And what I mean by producers boot camp is on Friday, we're going to go into those of you guys who are licensed. We're going to have a section for your FFM training and AHIP certification, but we are also going to go and have hands-on training on how to quote a Mutual of Omaha, how to do an illustration on NLG, how to do this, right? Bartolo, listen up. At 5 p.m., dinner is going to be invitation only, right? And we got to figure out, Bartolo, Wednesday, you and I got to have a conversation, and Shannon and some of the leaders there, right? Gunny, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Bishop, we got to set a standard for dinners. We're done just paying for everybody, showing up, right? And I don't mind paying for it because I love to eat, so I don't mind paying for it. But what we want to make it is a special, they earned it type of situation, right? Like I go things in. I go things in. Not only is I go thing in right now, as of moment that we speak right now, he's our top producer in Texas. He's in and he could order whatever he wants, right? But there's other people that haven't done anything, so they may have to go to McDonald's, right, Bartolo? So we'll figure that out here in a little bit, and then we're gonna do a Spanish leadership, folks. If you haven't figured out that the Spanish market is going to make you disgustingly stupid rich, you need to be at the meeting at 6:30 on Friday night, right? We're going to do a Spanish leadership meeting on Friday night, and then Saturday we're going to start. We're going to open the doors at 9. We're going to start at 9:30 sharp, or 10 sharp, and we're going to go to 4 o'clock. I do have a plane to catch, so I'm going to hightail it out there at 4 o'clock. But we're going to be training on that weekend. So take a QR code, click on it, make sure you register, make sure you're at that event. That is the address is there. More importantly, bring snacks and stuff, because y'all know I don't stop. We don't stop for like hour and a half lunch breaks and none of that crap. We're gonna go hard on that Saturday, but also bring people. Okay, bring your laptop and bring people. So take a quick snapshot of this. Those of you guys who are in Texas, make sure you're filling the seats with your team. Get as many people as you can. We're going to have Amber Contreras there, our creative director. Shannon, you're going to be doing a part there. We'll tap on your shoulder for that as well. He speaks Texan. He's from Texas. So it works out. All right, guys. Love you. Have a good night. Talk soon. Bye-bye.